Okay, I am not a musical guy at all. But being born in '79, I remember lots of awesome music from the '80s. And Rock of Ages is essentially the majority of the great, predominantly like monster ballads, thrown into a movie. Even though I enjoyed the movie, and I actually really do not like half the cast. Russell Brand, not a fan of his work. Alec Baldwin, not really a fan of his work. Tom Cruise, again, not really a fan of his work. So the crux of the movie is Julianne Hough, I think I pronounced her name correctly, is a girl from Tulsa who makes her way to Hollywood to essentially follow her dream of being a successful singer. Has the standard first day in Hollywood, gets robbed, gets a job at a bar that's owned by Alec Baldwin. Ironically, it's a rock bar where it's run by Alec Baldwin and Russell Brand. And what's going to make them all this money is the last performance of Arsenal. Arsenal has Stacey Jacks as their main guy. And that, of course, is the quintessential 80s rocker played by Tom Cruise. He's covered in tattoos, looks relatively emaciated, is pretty much boozing the whole time, and is just dripping with that bizarre, raw, alcoholic sex appeal that existed predominantly in the late 80s. Flip side to that, you also have Catherine Zeta-Jones, who's kind of taking like the PMRC, that rock music is destroying everybody. So, it does kind of have, it almost felt like it was Footloose but with rock music, and it was against rock and roll as opposed to being against dancing. If you're a fan of 80s music, this movie alone is just worth seeing it for that. They picked some of the best rock ballads, and they throw in snippets, little snippets. I joked with my wife, it almost feels like I'm watching The Hills. There's a small section of dialogue, and then there's a musical number. Then a small section of dialogue and a musical number. And it's got some moments of actually pretty decent comedy to it. It does, of course, get kind of risque after Julianne Hough essentially quits her job at the bar and then kind of becomes a stripper in the club owned by Mary J. Blige. Actually, a very enjoyable movie. And this is from somebody who is not a tremendous fan of musicals.